Welcome, everybody, to the first ever episode of the Lilywhite Lounge podcast. It's a massive day. Feels weird having my own actual podcast after all these years of being a Spurs fan, but I'm super excited to bring you guys lots of good episodes, lots of analysis and general chat. I think it's going to be a great one. I think we're going to have some great people on, starting with my first ever co-host of this podcast, all the way from New York, United States of America. Gus, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing well, Kish. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Yeah, recovering from last night, but I'm doing all good. When I had this idea of making this podcast, obviously Lily White Lab, I've been doing a lot of content over there, but I felt
Mm.
that the gap was a podcast. I was kind of thinking who could I get on for episodes? Who do I really like their opinions? And I've followed Gus for a while on Twitter. And so I just reached out to him. I thought he'd be great, and now he's on board. Yeah, how have you been, bro? How's been the preseason experience for you? And then get into a little bit as well about how you came to support Spurs from so far away.
Of course, bro. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's an honor to be in the presence of Kish, the Lilywhite Labs founder. Um, Preseason's been good. It's been a little bit of a grind with the way we're moving in the window, but I thought there's been some really positive signs. Last night was tough, definitely tough to swallow. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about the season. I think that it's been Frank just kind of tinkering and figuring out what players he prefers in certain spots, in certain game states, and I'm just excited for the future. How I became a Spurs fan is kind of a long story. My best friend growing up was the best footballer at our high school. He was the best player on our team as a freshman. I'm not sure what year that is in the UK, but
Freshman, what? How old are you in
like 14,
14? Yeah, we'd call that like probably year nine, year 10.
year 9. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's about the same here.
yeah, yeah.
And yeah, he was, dominating as a freshman. They were playing him all over, and he was my best friend growing up. So I went to all his games. When I was young, I played kind of casual football, probably until I was like 13, 14. Wasn't very good. I'm tall and skinny, and I was kind of getting knocked off the ball. I didn't really have great tech. So I turned into a consumer, played some other sports, American sports, American football, basketball, baseball, volleyball, those kind of things. But I was always in and around football. And my best friend growing up was a Bayern fan. And around 2011, 2012, he just started to introduce me to the sport more at the professional level, show me highlights, make me watch games. If I was sleeping over, he'd wake me up at 7 a.m. to watch a Bayern game. And yeah, I kind of fell in love with the culture and the fans, the moments of intensity, momentum, pressure, those kind of things. And I remember one day we were in his basement and we were playing FIFA 12, or in America, it was titled FIFA Soccer 12, which I just find hilarious. And we were playing in his basement. He always used to beat me. It was just every time. I played with Madrid, Barca, anyone. And I remember just being fed up, and I was hitting the random button. I don't know if you guys play randoms, but I hit random 3 times when I landed on Spurs. And I played with him, and I ended up beating him. And it was like the first time in a couple of weeks I had beat him. And he kind of launched into this tirade about how Spurs were this big club that had been cursed by, some really tough years, and they had always sold their best player, and they were kind of the butt of the jokes. From a guy who is an Eagles fan and a Red Sox fan, if you're an American, you know what that feels like. For the longest time, we were the cursed clubs, cursed teams. So I just kind of gravitated towards Tottenham, and I've been a fan since 2013, which is really tough pill to swallow because that's the year we sold Bale. And, that was the year I fell in love with Tottenham. I had always, loved football, but that was the year I fell in love with Spurs. And there was some trials and tribulations up until when Poch was appointed. In college, I was the only one getting up early, waking up all my roommates at 7, 8 a.m. hungover. And then, things kind of went from there. I'm just really happy to be part of the Spurs community now. As much of a kind of troubled fan base as we can be sometimes, I think most people online can be really nice and great to talk to. And I'm just glad that I have this opportunity. I've always really respected Lilywhite Lab's work, your work, but also the guests that you bring on to do threads. Just think you guys are like the voice of reason in the fan base, and I really appreciate the opportunity. So tell me a little bit about you, Kish. What got you into Spurs? Obviously you're from the UK, you're from London, so tell me a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I live maybe 5-10 minute walk from the Arsenal stadium. So growing up, I think pretty much everyone at my school was an Arsenal fan. Like maybe like 80%, something like that. So I was kind of always the odd one out where, I mean, my dad came to the UK when he was 10 and obviously didn't have a team to support, didn't really know anything about football and was put in like an East London school where football was the main sport. And kind of if you were good at sport and interested in sport, that's how you made friends. So I think he got chucked right in. And his favorite player was Glenn Hoddle, like as he got into it. And so he just basically started supporting Spurs. And I don't think he knew what he was in for. Obviously, we've had a lot of difficult years. But yeah, so I've been going to the game since I was 6 or 7. I got a season ticket. My dad has a season ticket. So yeah, it's always been a massive part of my life. I'm also like obviously as you know, Arsenal and Tottenham Stadium are not far, so I'm pretty close to the Spurs Stadium as well. My sister's just bought a house near the
Nice.
stadium. My cousin's got a house near the stadium, so there's a lot of ties to it. So yeah, and now I'm here. Obviously, started making content when I came out of uni. Didn't go to uni for football stuff, but sort of always been into football, played football, watched football, been obsessed with football. So yeah, and then I came out of uni, thought was watching a lot of content, and then thought I could do this. Like I know enough about football to write about football or make videos about football. And then I had the idea of like I didn't have enough time because I had a full-time job to like make as much content as I thought I needed to kind of break in. Because doing like, one thread a week or one video a week is going to be a slow process. So my idea was to kind of recruit a team of people who I all like respected all of their opinions, their words about Tottenham. I actually DM'd a lot of people to kind of curate this team, and not everyone replied, and not everyone was sort of the right fit. But eventually, we made a really nice team where some people were writing, some people were editing, some people were doing graphics. I was doing some videos along with someone else. And so it made for like a really nice way to break in because we could all contribute. And so it didn't take up everyone's full amount of time, but we could also get content out pretty regularly. And obviously at that point, it wasn't about kind of making this a job. It was about just breaking in and trying to sort of change the way Spurs fans were consuming content a little bit, because I felt like there was a big gap in the space of like more balanced and detailed views on football and Spurs especially. And I kind of felt like Extra Inch were the only real people that were doing that, and obviously that was mainly just podcasting. So we kind of thought, well, I kind of thought there's a definite gap there, and yeah, just filled that, and then it's been kind of ever since. I've recently obviously upped my output because yeah, I'm back on trying to kind of grow it as much as possible, and here we are having our first podcast.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, that's a little introduction. Obviously, most weeks I think we're gonna kind of chat just generally about Spurs, and then probably preview or review games, but not in incredible detail, because I'll kind of do that on separate videos. So I think it's going to be more general chat and getting into like specific players and kind of more the emotional side as well as the analytical side. So saying that, I want to start on obviously last night's game. First of all, where did you watch last night? Obviously for you, it's not. What time was kickoff for you?
Kickoff was 3 p.m. for me. So
Okay,
I took the whole day off of work.
right.
Um, I knew this game was coming, right? So usually when I know a big game's coming on a weekday, I'll take the day off. just so I can kind of emotionally prepare. I hate sitting at work. Just a little background. I do suicide prevention education. So I'm on the phone. That's why I'm using my headset. I'm on the phone all day long training people, but also taking crisis calls. So I don't like to be in a anxious state going into a day of work.
That's not
So
a
I'll take
good
the day
job.
off.
That's not a good job to try and balance a
Yeah,
Spurs
be dreading a big game. Oh my God, it's the worst. Especially last season when we played Arsenal midweek. Oh, I took
Yeah.
the whole day off. I couldn't do it. But yeah, I took the day off. The game's at 3. Usually my routine is I get up, downtown where the bar is, my local beer garden where it's a Liverpool Arsenal affiliated bar. So it's enemy territory for me. There's only 5, maybe 6 local Spurs fans that show up every week. Obviously they're my homies, love them to death. Some families, some kids my age, some college kids. Usually when college is in session, there's more Spurs fans, which is always nice to see. But yesterday was kind of dead at the bar. I think Americans, if their team's not in it, unless it's the Champions League semifinal or final, they're not going to really show out. They might show up for the last 30 after they get out of work, but the real fans that their teams are playing will show up. And I got there pretty early, had a few pints, settled in. Turns out I was surrounded by Parisians. There were 3 PSG fans that were on vacation in Syracuse, New York. I don't really understand that. And yeah, we hung out at the bar. The game was really optimistic about the game after the first 30, 40 when we scored. I thought we really had a chance to nick a result. It's an unfortunate end to a very, in my opinion, I thought it was really entertaining. Obviously, I'm not a neutral, but I thought it was pretty entertaining for the product that we produced in the Europa League final and some of the games leading up to that. I thought that we looked much more compact, professional, at times really dangerous on the counter with Kudus. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing a little bit more of that in big games. But where did you watch the game yesterday?
Yeah.
I saw that you might have been at a...
I was with Ben, Bowman,
Yeah.
and Seb, who are obviously big in the Spurs and just general football content world. We watched it at the Fighting Cock podcast social at a pub in sort of central-ish London, which was good. It was a really nice atmosphere there. Yeah, it was just such a nice place to watch it. Loads of Spurs fans there. Spoke to a few people who came up to me and said they liked my content, and that was nice. So yeah, watched
Shout
it
out
there.
them.
Shout out them. I didn't get names, but shout out them. Yeah, I think yesterday what made it probably entertaining for me was, well, in terms of a neutral, would be I just think it was so different from anything we've seen from Spurs in many years. Especially like the set piece, the sort of the attention to detail in terms of all facets of play. Those small margins that make such a difference in games like that. Long throw-ins, proper set pieces. And I did go into the game thinking, I was looking at the PSG lineup and I was like, this is a small team. Like both their centre-backs, Marquinhos and Pacho, I think Marquinhos is defo only at maximum 6 foot. I don't know how tall Pacho is, but he doesn't look big.
He's not much taller.
Yeah. And then they've got, like Vitinha, Doué, and Zaire Emery in midfield.
I mean, besides Ruiz, I don't think they have a tall midfielder.
No, exactly. No. And then obviously Mendes is pretty big. Hakimi's small. So I was looking at our team, and our team was big, and I was like, okay, at least if we get dominated, we'll be a threat from set pieces. So I kind of expected that. But what I didn't expect is us to just really, well, we really outworked them. But I think part of that is probably because they're very early on in their, well, they haven't played for a month or whatever. Right. But I think our midfield just were everywhere. Pelinho, I think, it's one of those where, especially when you're watching it out in a pub or something, I think a really good sign is if you don't notice a defensive midfielder, like
I was gonna
especially
say that.
if you don't notice him, and when we're not kind of conceding openings, I think that's a sign that he's having a really good game. And I did watch
Mm-hmm.
Pitt back, and he was very good positionally,
Mm-hmm.
reading the game, and yeah, I haven't seen that kind of performance from someone in Spurs for a while. And then both Bentancur and Sarr were very good, but I thought Sarr was incredible, and I'm so excited for him this season. The That kind of profile for me is like just a bit of a cheat code because it's almost like having two players on the pitch. Um, because what he was doing was from goal kicks. Obviously, PSG are always going to try to play out. They're always going to
Mm-hmm.
play short their centre backs pretty much every single time. Or the centre backs will split and one of the midfielders will drop in and I'll play the midfielder. And he was really high on Vitinha, stopping them from playing. And obviously, Vitinha's the key to their attacks. Like
Mm-hmm.
everything goes through Vitinha, and he was basically stuck on him the whole game. But then
Yeah.
you see him there that high, and then at times they'd break through our midfield at some point, and you'd
Mm-hmm.
see us like kind of them running kind of from the middle third into their final third, and you'd see Sarr kind of recovering and win the ball there, and it's just like how has he got from being that high
Yeah.
on goal kicks to then suddenly recovering like that? And that's the
Mm-hmm.
kind of cheat code you get. Obviously, we've had that seen that with like Kante. I think Valverde is very good at that at Real Madrid.
Mm-hmm.
And those I think those kind of players make a massive difference, especially in big games like that.
Mm-hmm. Sarr
Yeah,
is an interesting one for me. I I thought Ange did a good job his first season profiling him. And then he kind of got away from the roadrunner ground covering role that we saw him thrive in that first season under Ange. And I think that Frank is really utilizing his strengths. There was a moment in that first half where I genuinely didn't know where he came from. He blocked the cross. I think it was a Mendes cross.
yeah,
And Kuti had pushed the halfway line and he got caught out. And Danso was one-on-one with Barcola. And I didn't even know where Pep came from. He
yeah.
he, he recovered it cut out the cross, and that's a great observation because he was able to press high, but also he dropped in, cut out passing lanes. I mean, I think he had like 6 or 7 interceptions. I mean, his frame and his legs are so imposing when he faces you. It's really hard to read his body too when he's pressing. I think I tweeted something along the lines of he's one of the best pressers I've seen at this level. Like he just doesn't really matter who he's pressing. It could be one of the best midfielders in the world. He just always finds a way to get his legs and body in the way of a passing lane or nick the ball from someone.
I think that's a great point because so much about pressing is kind of body shape and not telegraphing. How do I explain it? Not telegraphing the way you're going to approach it straight away, because you
Mhm.
want them often to make that touch that then you're going to go and anticipate, or you want them to try to make that pass that you then step in. And I think because he's so athletic, but also because his legs are so long, is that
Mhm.
he doesn't really need to shape up early because his legs are that long. He can just stick a leg out and take it. And I think that's a great point.
Exactly. And I mean, yesterday our midfield was with Bentancur and Paulinho and Sarr. I think a lot of us, including myself, as some people know, was not the biggest fan of the Paulinho signing. But Frank and him they've proved me wrong. You know, I think that he adds a level of control in that midfield and experience that we severely lack. We saw it when Bentancur came out. Bentancur positionally just isn't as intelligent. He doesn't snuff out those passing lanes like Paulinho does. He's much more of a frantic presser. He can't really dominate a zone as well as Paulinho. And yeah, Paulinho showed me, as well as Bentancur, kind of in that pivot, that together in a more in a deeper block, they can be really effective together. Maybe they're not the most progressive duo, definitely not, but dueling tackles, interceptions. I mean, they're phenomenal, and they play off each other well. I'm really excited about Frank's ability to be, I sometimes call it tactically diverse. He just always seems to have a plan for a certain player, and he's not throwing someone out there just to throw them out there. He has a plan for every player on the pitch, down to the most minute details. And we saw that yesterday. I thought Richarlison and Kudus worked off each other well, which I wasn't expecting, to be honest. Kudus dragged us up the pitch, and Richie kind of was there to win fouls, was win the ball back up high if he could. And he got us into some really dangerous positions for set pieces, and was just a thorn in everyone's side. He always is. So yeah, how do you think? What did you think when that lineup first came out, and you saw that we were playing three at the back?
I mean, yeah, I didn't really have a problem with the shape, and I think for me, often fans look too much into shape. For me, I think formations are, one, flexible. Two, to be honest, it's a lot more about kind of the way that they unfold rather than the shape itself. Because really and truly, it's 11 players against 11 players, and if let's say your wing back is ending up in zones high up, putting crosses in, then what's the difference between that and a winger? Just because he drops off out of possession, stuff like that. For me, the back three wasn't like a major thing. I think what really worked well with the back three is that we knew their wide players are ridiculous. Like both Barcola and Kvaratskhelia 1v1 are incredible. And so I think what really worked is, one, Porro and Spence were actually both pretty good one. I mean, Spence is unbelievable 1v1, by the way. He's like, for me,
love him,
one of the best 1v1 defenders in the world. Just his body shape and his also his willingness to kind of, you can see how badly he wants to win the ball, but he doesn't let that like emotion take over either. So he's really patient, but he's aggressive when he has to be. I love that about him. But I think when they at times did get beat, which I think against those two wingers, there's always going to be moments you get beat. I think what really worked is that there was the wide centre backs to back that up and clean up, and it was almost like we had a 2-on-1 a lot of the time. So I thought that worked really well. I think where my concerns were obviously getting out, but I think what we did pretty well is feed off second balls, press high and win it high. So we were playing a deep block at times, and towards the end of the game, obviously we were gassed out and we sat off. But to be honest, a lot of the game we were pressing right on their goal kicks. And so I think that was big because our progression was always going to lack. So if you win the ball in the final third, you're already there. You don't need progression. And I thought we'd be very, very reliant on Kudus, and to an extent we were. But again, we won it pretty high, and we won free kicks and throw-ins, and they created a lot of chaos. And that's the thing I've been excited about Frank, is that, like you said, I feel like he's a manager that will go into every game with a plan. My slight concern I have, and I've always had this concern about these type of managers, is there are games where you have to be proactive, not reactive. So don't be thinking about the opposition, for example, on Saturday. Think about how the opposition is set up and stuff, but don't be kind of thinking, how do we not lose to them? Like, don't be proactive. How are we going to beat them? How do we best kind of line up, and what personnel do we need? Because for me, you can't play that same midfield on Saturday. And yeah, I think that's my main concern. I hope that he stays very flexible and that kind of horses for courses type saying. That will be vital. So yeah, but I think overall I was really impressed, and obviously penalties, lottery. And also, to be honest, like it's not a big loss. It's not a proper kind of cup final, but I think the main thing for me was seeing some good signs for the season.
Yeah.
And we saw those. And obviously going 2-0 up, it's not nice to lose, but yeah.
I thought it was a fantastic test for the boys, especially missing the players we were missing. There's not a better team in the world to see how preseason has stuck with some of these players, especially since we hadn't seen that shape in preseason yet. We really could see the principles that Frank and Wells, because he's on defensive duties when it comes to training have really worked with some of the guys that have been there a little bit, but some of the newer guys as well. I'm interested for Saturday. Like I can't wait for the game because I'm really interested to see the difference. We were so used to playing a certain way. I mean, until the very end of Europa under Ange, that it'll be nice to see adjustments. Hopefully we see a little bit more of a creative midfield, a back four. I'm thinking that we'll get into a Burnley preview for sure. But I think that once that first goal went in, once Kangan Lee, what a goal, by the way. It was a great strike. I turned to the Parisian next to me and I told him he's going to score. And he was like, yeah, but we won't win. He was a pessimistic PSG fan. I didn't know they existed. So it's once that first goal went in, I was kind of praying, 2-0 leads, the most dangerous lead in sports. Everyone knows that saying. We could talk about the subs until we're red in the face. I don't think we had very many options. I think the boys were gassed. I'm not sure about that Tel cameo. Wasn't very promising. I think he's just had a really rough preseason. In general, I think that break after the U21 Euros was maybe a little bit of an adjustment for him coming back. And yeah, I'm still high on him. I'm sure we'll get into more about Tel and that whole fiasco with the missed penalty and the way that some are reacting. But I think that that last 10, 15 minutes was a little bit, it just tired legs, drained mentally. People can say that Van de Ven was a little lazy getting out for the second goal. I think that with the performance they put in, there's not much they can really hang their head in shame about. Penalties, like we said, are a lottery, a flip of a coin. And we went up against a team that is battle tested. I was thinking back, the last penalty shootout was Fulham, right? Fulham away.
Yeah.
I always get a little sketched out going into a season if there isn't a penalty shootout at some point. Just because I don't know how we're going to perform. I don't know who needs redemption. And now I kind of like that we got that out of the way. It gives me a lot of confidence that the boys can be resilient. I didn't see very, very many, bad attitudes or anything when we did end up losing. Like, obviously they were disappointed, but I thought their posts on social media, that they're going to rally around this, I think. And especially with some of the stuff online that Tel is getting, I think that it should be a bonding moment for a lot of the guys. And I'm looking forward to Saturday, man.
Yeah, I think like you said, penalties is a lottery, but I think if there's anything to go on with penalties, it's also about momentum. So I think it's always difficult when you concede late and it goes to penalties, because suddenly all the momentum's transferred to them, and so I think that's massive. In terms of Tel, I mean, I'm not claiming that he's been good since he's joined. I don't think he has. I think he's had moments. I think for me, I see big potential there, and that's not just going on name. I think I see things from him that I'm really excited about. I think his issue has been that his best qualities have not been platformed. He needs to be in and around goal, and when he's touched, like when he's coming on to try and relieve pressure, getting us up the pitch, that's not his game. He's a player that wants to be on the shoulder, running in behind and getting shots off. And his movement is really, really sharp in and around the box. He arrives so well on the end of things. And his ability to create separation and get shots off and get chances is second to none. But he's 20 years old. Like, fine, put the price tag out of it, whatever. Yeah. It's not your money. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy to me that people can write off players, and I've been massive on this for a while now, that I think the rise of social media combined with freaks like Lamine Yamal and Mbappe mean that people are expecting finished articles at such young ages now, That players don't have time to grow, and Tel hasn't. He's not a starter yet. I kind of expect him to maybe be a starter going into the season, but I don't think he will be at this point. So let him grow. Like there's no big pressure on him. I put a tweet out that Salah was playing in Switzerland at 20. Isak was having real struggles. He joined Dortmund, but he was going out on loan and struggling. There's countless stories of this. Tel's done more at 20 than a lot of the top players. So just chill. Like if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But you don't need to kind of get on his back. I mean, obviously the racism stuff is inexcusable. Like that really needs to be said. But even just in general, criticizing him, I just think is pointless. Just be patient because what else can you do? Yeah.
Especially if we get Savio and we get Eze, like we're rumored to get, way less pressure on Tel's shoulders, right? He can rotate in games that he can thrive in. Frank will utilize him where he knows he can platform it correctly. I don't think there will be any weight on his shoulders besides just the redemption of the first few months being rough. As a lot of people that are listening know, I'm a huge Tel fan. I'm a huge Odegaard fan. I like my French footballers. I think that's pretty obvious to a lot of people that follow me on Twitter. I saw glimpses with Tel. I never claimed to say that he's been performing outstanding. But this preseason showed me that, yeah, he needs a lot of work. I like what you said about he's not someone who's going to relieve a lot of pressure for us. He has the mentality and the attitude to want to do that. I just don't think he is good enough back to goal yet. He can be sloppy technically. He takes kind of big balloon touches at times that no one's forcing him to take. He can be a little frustrating for sure. There's no doubt about that. But like you said, he's 20. There's so many teenagers out there that are unbelievably good that completely kind of warp our perspective of growth. And I think that it's, maybe a Tactico Twitter comment to say, growth isn't linear, but it's so true. I mean, I see it in my own life, right? Like at your job or even with like friendships and relationships, it's not linear. There's going to be ups and downs. And at 20 years old, for someone who, I said this last year when, last season, he came into a system that was frayed. It was all over the place. He had very few senior players that were performing well playing next to him. And there was moments where he was the brightest attacker on our team. There's no doubt about that. There was moments that, yeah, he was frustrating. And I saw a personality, a attitude, an application that you can't really teach. A confidence that I wish Odegaard had, a confidence that will only serve him well. I really think that besides the abuse he's getting, I think that miss will do a world of good for him, especially if we get another attacker in that can kind of relieve him from some of the pressure that our fans are naturally going to put on him with Sonny leaving. But yeah, just patience is a virtue, especially with young footballers, especially ones that come into a system that was so disorganized and now is finally in a system that should platform him correctly. I think that we'll only see improvements from here. Like you said, not our money. Let's let the fee go for a little bit. And I'm sure he'll come good for that fee. I'm not sure if we buy an attacker and we continue to develop our attack and we cycle some guys in and out, maybe he loses his pathway, maybe. But like yet again, he's a rotational piece. He's not going to be a starter, especially if we get Savio. I think that there's plenty of growth to be had this season. It doesn't have to be linear. So patience is key. I know that can be a little bit annoying when we've only signed 2 players, but hopefully that changes. Let's just say that. Do you wanna get into Burnley?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
So yeah, what is it? Saturday, 3 o'clock for us. So that would be
10 a.m. Saturday for me.
10
Yeah.
a.m. That's not too bad. That's
Not
all
bad
right.
at all. 10 a.m.
Not,
is
not
my
bad.
10 a.m. is my favorite time, honestly.
Yeah, for me, 3 o'clock Saturday is my favorite to watch.
Yeah.
So
I can sleep in a little bit. I
but
still have
then you
enough
start
time
the
to
day
like
off
rush to
well.
the coffee shop. I'm good.
Yeah. And then if you win, your Saturday is just
Oh,
sorted.
if we
Yeah,
win, I'm like 3 pints deep. I'm ready
yeah.
to get
To start.
lunch. I'm ready to
Yeah,
have a whole day. Yeah, it's
yeah,
great.
beautiful. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to that game actually. And normally I'm away. I don't think I've ever been to the opening day. For some reason, I always tend to be away in August. So this is my first time going to the first game of the season, I think, which
I
is
bet you're
exciting
buzzing.
because also it's never nice weather. Usually, obviously, going to
Is
Spurs
is it
vibes.
supposed to be nice?
Yeah, it'll
Oh,
be sunny. Like
lovely.
yeah, so that's a change, and you can like be outside before the game. So I'll probably go down there early and get some drinks and stuff. So that'll be good. In terms of I think Burnley are obviously gonna come and sit in a low block. I think they sort of even did that in the championship at times. They're pretty organized, not a great side. They're pretty well structured. They've got some good defenders. They've lost their best keeper. I mean, they're probably their best player, to be honest.
Mhm.
Um, a team we should definitely be beating, but a team that worries me because of I think the way we've structured our squad so far, and obviously the signings we've left till the last minute are not necessarily here yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to get your opinion on as it stands, without any signings coming in by then. Let's just assume that we don't get anything over the line by Saturday. Um, what would your starting 11 be? Just run through it and then
Yeah.
we'll talk about it.
Historically, I'm not great at predicting lineups.
No, yeah, get the prediction. Just
Prediction, just what I
what would
want.
you
What I
want?
want.
Yeah.
Okay, got you. I got Vicario, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, Spence, Paulinho, Sarr, Odegaard, Johnson, Solanke, Kudus. I think the front three of Johnson, Solanke, Kudus. I'm not sure we can really trust Richarlison to start just yet, and I know Solanke's coming back from injury, still not 100% fit. I just think we'll rotate that where maybe Richarlison plays the last 40 and we cycle them. I think Johnson does come in. I probably prefer Tel, maybe to get him some confidence. I think he probably be better suited for that game anyways. My midfield, I have Odegaard at 10. I think that we need his ability to weave in and out of tight spaces. That left half space he's really strong in. I think that he'd be really key against a low block that is going to be really compact. We just need lock pickers. Kudus is one. Odegaard can be another. And if we need to, we can bring in, maybe we put in Bentancur Sarr and have Bentancur as
Who
the.
did you have in your pivot? Sorry.
I had Paulinho Sarr in my
Okay.
pivot.
Yeah.
I think it'll probably be Bentancur Sarr,
I think it'll be
Bentancur Sarr.
Polino Bentancur. I think it'll be Polino. I don't know.
We
No,
just
I actually think I have a bad feeling he's going to do just say midfield three. I think it's a great point on Odegaard because I've been actually bigging up Kudus as a number 10 option, but in games like yesterday, not in games like this, I think Kudus is yesterday, the ability to travel with the ball is ridiculous and to get us up the pitch and not just get us up the pitch, actually turn like nothing moments in your own half into creating like big opportunities just from the ability to rapidly carry the ball through the thirds. I think it's key. But in these kind of situations, you need that more connectivity in the 10. The spaces are going to be way tighter. It's going to require so much like vision and IQ. And I think Odegaard's superior there. And I really like how connective he is and good at linking he is. And I also think Kudus's 1v1 ability is superior to Odebear's. I don't
I
think
agree.
Odebear's bad 1v1, but I think Kudus is top 1v1. So I think having him out wide will attract a lot of players to that side and can create openings for more central players. I think when you pull players out of shape, that's the key to kind of breaking low blocks. And Kudus being on the touchline can really pull people out of shape. And he only needs an inch to get to the byline. Like he's so good at that. And
Hmm.
then someone a bit more connective and less, I guess, hero
Hmm.
ball in the
Hmm.
10, I think will be key. I think Odebear, while I don't think that's necessarily his best role, I think he can definitely do it.
Hmm.
Um, and then yeah, the last kind of player behind the striker is up for grabs, I'd say. Um, in terms of mine and your lineup, I think
Hmm.
yeah, Johnson versus Tell, and I think to be honest, if I'm speaking my head, I'd probably go Johnson, because
Yeah.
goals, and I think actually
Hmm.
attracting all those players on the right, um, could lead to Johnson back post tap-ins, which we've seen so many times.
Ole,
So
ole, ole.
I'd probably go there, but I have a feeling that actually I think he'll probably going to go two of Palhinha, Bentancur, Sarr, and then he probably will play Bergvall in the 10. I have a feeling,
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
which I get isn't the end of the world, but I really don't enjoy Bergvall number 10.
I don't either.
I think he's so much better collecting the ball deep and then
Hmm.
progressing. Um, what are your thoughts on assuming Udogie's fully fit, and actually just even forget that Spence has now played a competitive game, like forget imagine they've kind of played similar minutes.
Hmm.
What's your opinions on Udogie, Spence, and even Porro, I guess, because Spence can play both sides.
This is an interesting one. I've gotten into a decent amount of discussions online about this, whether we should be looking for a right-sided defender or a left-sided defender because of this issue. I think Spence is a double-edged sword. One side being insanely helpful for us. I think being able to play both sides at the level that he can, with the dueling and the aggressiveness that he can play with. Um, he's not too shabby going forward either. Um, really gives us a luxury. Um, I I really think that it's Spence's position to lose at this point. Um, with how much Destiny has struggled to get back to his early 23, 24 kind of consistency. The injuries that he's been plagued with have really disrupted his momentum and his ability to be as physical as he was when he was 19, um, which is a shame. I think he has all of the right, mental tools in his toolbox to get back to where he was, no doubt. I just think Spence right now is much more consistent. You know what you're going to get with him on the left. Um, preferably, especially after last night, I'd get a right back at this point. I know that people want us to get Shirkin for the club train quota, but I think we go for a right-sided defender at this point. I would prefer tomorrow. If Destiny is fit, I'd prefer to start Destiny just to see kind of how he is. Um, I think it's a good game for him, overlapping. But I'm interested to see that. I think Frank loves Spence. I mean, from what we've seen in preseason, I think that Frank has really grown to love him, and that's really important for us. I think
I, yeah,
three really great fullbacks is not a bad problem to have at
no,
all. So I'm
it's
not complaining.
perfect. I think it's perfect actually. I think we're actually in a great spot in terms of rotation because it's three and not four, and obviously we probably need one more.
Hmm.
But having three top ones at all of similar level makes for a real good rotation because three, there's enough minutes to go around, and
Hmm.
the fact that Spence can play both sides means that the rotation just is perfect. That's the position I'm most happy with in the squad is fullback.
Me too.
Um, I think Spence is probably the most Frank coded player because of how flexible he is. He can
Yep.
play any type of fullback role. So for me, I mean, I think there's certain ones that optimize him more. But if you want him to play wing back, he can do a very good job at it. If
I
you
don't.
want him,
I want to hear your perspective on this. Do you think that we look at Spence through a Spur, like a favoritism glasses, like Spurs glasses, where we see a player that other neutrals or maybe rivals don't see? Because I see a lot of narratives. I've said some things about Spence being one of the best 1v1 defenders in the world. I think that we see him week in and week out perform at an 8 out of 10 level, a minimum, almost every time. Do you think that he is as good as we think he is? Because I see that too. I see that flexibility, his ability to play right back, left wing back, right wing back, and really not drop too much his level. But obviously the left, I think he's better on the left, but it's slight. I think he's a better 1v1 defender on the left, but I'm wondering what you think, because I personally think we look at him a little bit with our tribalism attached to it. We look at it as someone who watches him week in and week out, but I'm interested to hear your perspective.
I think there's two things here. I think first of all, Spurs out of the top 6 clubs get the least exposure. So in the media, probably in size of fan base. So I think that always comes with players not probably being rated as high because we don't have as much eyes on our games. I think that's one. Two, it's hard to argue for any of our players being good when we finish 17th. So it's just like, I've been in conversations about Romero with my mates, and especially Romero, and I'm like, okay, fine. Like I don't want to.
It just gets thrown in our face
every single time I get into like Romero debates with my friends, and they think he's shit. I say he's amazing, and then I just say, okay, I say just wait till he's in a functioning system. So this is the season. I think there will be a lot more positive talks around Spurs this season and individual players. I think Spence is incredible. I think where maybe his only real fault with me is probably his 1v1 dribbles attacking wise, which I don't think he's bad at. He's definitely not bad at, and he's better than a lot of fullbacks at that. But I think that's one thing where I don't think he could go to the top level at. But everywhere else, I think he's so good. And all my kind of non-Spurs mates, when they've watched him, they've been like, he's been very good. And that it's hard because like when we're looking at players that we don't support, or especially like casual fans, would they'll see one performance, whether that's good or bad, and that's the narrative they run with. So
true.
I think Spence actually had some good big games last season. Even when we lost heavily, I think Spence always came out looking pretty good. So I think he's actually rated probably pretty well. But our other players are not so. But I think Spence and loads of our players will go up a level in terms of.
I think with the dribbling, he tends to. He invites pressure because he knows he can escape. And sometimes that gets him in trouble, especially if we're trying to build up. Like he sometimes just takes a little bit too much responsibility on the ball. But I think that'll iron itself out.
Also, what you've got to realize with Spence as well is he's never really had a proper run of games until last season. So while he might be older than some more experienced younger players, he's not necessarily very experienced. And that's again the same thing about linear development, doesn't it?
Exactly. I was about to say. Another reason to have faith in Tel and Odegaard and Gray.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we nearly sold Spence for 7 million euros or something like that. If I'm patching that, and now we're probably sitting on a 6. In fact, he's English, probably 60 million minimum. Man City could well do with him at the moment, I think.
Levy never thought he was going to get that out of a club signing.
No.
Club signing.
Okay, cool. Let me get your prediction for the game. Just mainly like how you think it might play out, and then maybe a score.
I think we're going to start slow. I'm not sure these boys have really gotten the legs in them yet for the 3-day split, the 2 days off, 72 hours max between a game. I think that they just played a really high intensity game in Italy. I think we'll probably start slow. My prediction kind of ties into what I think, how the game is going to unfold. I think it's going to be 2-0. I think we'll keep a clean sheet. I think the only players we've really got to watch. I'm interested to see who plays for Burnley, because I think Marcus Edwards.
Actually, that's one thing I didn't add.
Yeah.
My friend actually plays for Burnley.
Really?
He is left wing, Jaden Anthony. I went to school with him, so that's one to watch out for. I don't know if he's going to start, but I should have added that.
He started their last preseason game. I was looking at their lineups. It'll probably be, if it's not Kolyosho.
Yeah,
it'll probably it'll probably be Anthony and Edwards.
Yeah,
and then I'm interested to see if Broja starts. I can never pronounce Leslie's last name. Ugochukwu,
I think.
Ugochukwu. Yeah. I'm really fascinated to see him play.
Now you're naming their players, I'm thinking they've actually got a decent team.
Yeah, I mean they have some players. I mean, those guys just came in, so we'll see if they'll probably feature off the bench. Yeah. But yeah, no, my prediction is 2-0. I think we'll win. I think we'll keep clean sheet. I think Kudus is going to score on his debut. I really do. And then I got, just to kind of continue his hot start, I'll say Sarr box crashing, maybe outside the box, maybe off a set piece. That's my prediction. How about you?
That would be great. Yeah, I think it's important to score early in this game because the fan base is a little bit on edge at the moment.
Yeah.
And so the longer it goes on, the more tense it gets, and that never helps in these kind of games. So I think if you score early, you won't be comfortable. And I really like the idea of scoring early under Frank, because that means teams will come on to us more, and that leaves the spaces in behind. And I think Frank will be massive on that. And that's partly why I think we might struggle against low blocks because of the lack of passes in the team and stuff like that. But set pieces really level that out. And if we're able to get kind of an early goal for set piece, then we can kind of play our more transitional game where we're kind of drawing the press in and then really unleashing our criticism.
Once we get flowing, I think that we're still building chemistry in that front three, front four. If you include the lack of a 10, just whoever is playing 10 in that moment, I think we just lack cohesion in that relationship that will build over time. And as we know from our time under Conte, right? It really is about, if you can read your teammates' minds where they're going to be. Also, you need elite passer from deep areas, but I think that in transition, it's going to take some time to gel. And I think if we can score early in these games where we could dominate possession if we wanted to, if we struggle to score, we're going to have to. But if we score early, we can kind of play our game where moments we dominate, moments that we sit back, we beta press, or we let them possess and we counter. So yeah, I'm really excited for these type of games under Frank. I think we should be pretty exciting for neutrals, but also keep our anxieties down. Just limiting the amount of chances that we allow. I think we should be pretty compact. Even if
I want to be clear as well. When I say play on transition, that doesn't mean not having the ball. That doesn't mean just sitting in a low block. That means often being patient in deep areas, and then suddenly we click and the gap opens and we're quick and direct.
Yeah, those fake transitions.
Yeah, artificial transitions. Doesn't mean boring is my point. And
right. No, 100%.
Mourinho.
Yeah, I think that sometimes preseason can get a little away from us. It can influence us a little bit too much. And yeah, I think we're gonna be the opposite of boring this year. I think that will be really exciting. Hey, if we get a here we go Friday, I think the mood changes. Yeah. Tomorrow, I mean. Yeah. If we get 2, oh my God. I mean, the mood's completely different, and then we're just buzzing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Saturday. Hope you enjoy the game, man.
Thank you. And you too. On that note, I'm gonna be dropping a Eze video tomorrow.
I look forward to it.
Tomorrow afternoon English, you're probably morning. So yeah, look out for that. Hopefully that looks like it hopefully goes through. So I'll be looking at kind of how he fits in tactically, etc. And then I'll also do a review of the Burnley game on Sunday, and obviously the podcast will be back next week. The way I want to end every episode of this podcast is not even kind of Spurs related, but this might put you on the spot. But anything that you can recommend people to go check out. So whether that's a album, that's a TV series, that's a film, can be a player that you've looked at, whatever it is, far away. I can start if you need time to think.
No, I have the ideas that you just provided.
Yeah.
Inspired me.
Okay.
I want to pick this carefully because I think a lot of people expected me to get on here and talk about Magnus Aklios. I always recommend watching Aklios and Monaco in general.
Yeah.
Put you on in Monaco. They are a fantastic watch. They're probably my favorite watch in Europe right now. Just the ballers that they have, the technicians they have all over the pitch, really. Young players. They just added Pogba, Fati. They're kind of rejuvenating some older players' careers. I think that I always recommend Monaco when League One starts. Tune in. Lamine Camara, one of my favorite players in the world right now. Absolute baller. As for shows or like movies, I always want to put people on to my favorite movie ever. I've had a tattoo about it. It's a Miyazaki movie, Studio Ghibli.
Yeah.
My favorite movie ever is Princess Mononoke.
I haven't even watched that song.
It's an anime. It came out 2 years before Spirited Away.
Okay.
I got a tattoo on the back of my calf about for the movie.
Okay, it's on Netflix.
One of my favorite movies ever. I recommend it to people. If you're interested in movie recommendations, any of that, follow me on Twitter and check my letterbox out in my bio. I try to consume as many movies as I can.
Yeah.
And that one turned out to be my favorite.
Sick.
But yeah, Monaco and Princess Mononoke are my two recommendations for the first pod. What about you?
I mean, if I was gonna just recommend anything ever, it would be The Sopranos. Obviously, that's like I'm
Lovely.
a Sopranos super fan. I've watched it through maybe 3 or 4 times, but that's a classic, and a lot of people know that. For a more current thing that I'm watching at the moment, which has been horrible watch, but as in very good, but very intense and graphic. It's a new Jacob Elordi show called The Narrow Road to the Deep North. It's about a prisoner of war, basically. It's very intense, but it's very good. Or if you're,
I have to check that out.
If you're in the UK, it's on BBC. I don't know what else it's on if you're not in the UK. But yeah, watch that. But also prepare to maybe put on a comedy after or something. It's very intense.
I'm not the only one that like has to turn on a comedy or like watch YouTube after I watch one of those shows or movies.
100%.
Okay, good.
Yeah. There's some horrible scenes in there generally. But yeah, anyway, check that out. And yeah, each week I'm big on TV and film, but also music. So I'll bring one thing per week. I think that's a great way to.
I'll keep something prepared. I'll keep something in my holster for sure.
Okay. Yeah, that's the end of the first episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please leave some love in the comments. Make sure you review it. Share it with all your Spurs fan mates, non-Spurs fan mates, family, whatever. And yeah, we're gonna be back weekly. We've got some exciting other guests to come on as well. There'll be a lot of Gus as well, where he's available. And yeah, hope you enjoyed it. And good luck.
I had a blast.
Me too.
I had a blast.
We'll be back.
I appreciate you having me. It's an honor and a privilege, and I'm just glad I got to get on that first episode. That's a big milestone for me, so I appreciate it.
Historic moment, man. Historic moment.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. We'll be back next week, guys. Good luck for the game. Get behind the team, etc. And come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.